everyone, my name is Emily and I am on your strategic account team for VMware. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. Before we get started, I wanted to take a second to congratulate all of you on your impressive growth over the last 5 years. I know that you've experienced 13 acquisitions, Whistler and Blackcomb being the most recent one, as well as retaining on average over 17.4% year-over-year revenue growth. So I know during this time of acquisition, it's a very exciting time for the business. And from meeting with John last week, he mentioned that it is a very exciting time for the business, but it's also a very hectic time for IT. So today I'm going to go over some of the ways that VMware has enabled IT environments to automate their processes of service delivery to the business, as well as enabling them to be more of a strategic partner to the business rather than just a means to keep the lights on. So before we dive into things, I'm going to lay out a quick agenda just as a roadmap for this conversation. So as I mentioned, I met with John and he went over some of the challenges that he's facing from an IT perspective, so we'll go over those first. Additionally, the solution that I mentioned is known as vRealize. So I'll go over a quick overview of that, and then I'll finish out with going over some of the business outcomes addressed during the presentation. From there, we can figure out the next steps. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
So, the first challenge that John mentioned was the ability to scale for these acquisitions. Additionally, he mentioned that cutting costs is top of mind. And IT has also expressed a concern that while the business is definitely growing, he's worried that they're falling behind when it comes to innovation, especially when it comes to the Epic applications for your customers. So we'll look in ways to how to reduce time to market and leave time for more innovation for your Epic. So now let's take a look at where you stand in the story of virtualization. You've taken advantage of the compute layer of virtualization. We've also discussed the possibility of going virtualized with your storage as well as your networking, but we can save that for a future conversation. Additionally, I know you're operating with advanced management with vSOM right now, and you're using IBM's cloud. So let's take a step back and look at really where vSphere originated. So vSphere changed the way that IT organizations operated. It really allowed them to become fully efficient and reduce that amount of hardware footprint. On top of that, with tools such as vCenter, they provided IT teams with a centralized management tool to allow them to deploy VMs. However, there were pieces of the puzzle that were missing, especially related to the process before, during, and after deploying a VM. So this is really where vRealize comes into play. So vRealize is an end-to-end automation solution that allows you to automate your entire ecosystem and not just your VMware environment. So vRealize allows you to automate the service delivery cycle of model, budget, deploy, as well as monitor. So some of the aspects of vRealize include intelligent operations, as well as a feature known as Log Insight, which we'll go more into that, as well as automation, DevOps, and business. So we'll take a deeper dive into each one of these. So intelligent operations essentially extends the capabilities of your vSOM into the rest of your environment as well as the public cloud offering. So this now allows you to view the health, risk, and efficiency of your workloads as you go through this cycle. My favorite part about operations management is the hypothetical project. Now, by running a hypothetical project, you can view beforehand how much capacity you're going to need for a certain project. And for some reason, if you note that, wow, this project is not going to work in my data center because it exceeds my capacity, you then have the ability to remodel your workload as well, or you have the option of moving to the public cloud, whatever makes sense for you in that instance. So this gives you a deeper visibility into your IT environment. Additionally, with Log Insight, you're now able to view that huge entire long log full of endless data and implement an advanced search feature as well as intelligent grouping policies that enable a 360-degree view. And by doing that, you're able to troubleshoot more efficiently as well as get a deeper dive into the analytics of your logs and your organization. So this really allows you to scale for this acquisition. Additionally, with the combination of operations and Log Insight, according to a customer benchmarking study, these two features have been able to, on average, reclaim over 34% of customers' capacity, really addressing that concern of costs on this. This next feature, known as automation, is also a feature that will address your scaling with acquisition need. So with automation, you're able to create converged blueprints of your service delivery cycles. And with these service blueprints, you're able to construct them all in a self-service IT catalog. So now when your IT team needs to run out a project, you essentially they can go in and go into the self-service catalog and have all the resources they need instead of having to go and submit a ton of help desk tickets for those resources. So this has been shown to drastically allow customers to scale for acquisition. And a fun customer use case of automation is Rent-A-Center. So Rent-A-Center was having a lot of growth, such as Vail, and they were having a really hard time growing with the business. They were taking over 2 weeks, as well as over 20 help desk tickets to spin up one server. And after implementing vRealize along with their vSphere, they were able to have the ability to deploy 100 stores a day with very minimal staff. And they're also able to reclaim over 85% of their unclaimed resources in their data center. So this addressed their concern of lowering costs as well as scaling at a time of growth. So this next aspect of DevOps is really addressing your concern with this Epic app. So with a feature of DevOps known as CodeStream, you're able to have a streamlined process towards releasing applications externally. So while automation is more focused on that internal employee resources, this is focused on freeing up the time of your IT team to continue innovating. So my favorite part about DevOps is that it actually has the ability to locate bugs in the code before it reaches your end users. So this really cuts down on that test and dev time that it takes to deploy new updates to the Epic application. Therefore, this will help keep you innovating and maintain that great customer service experience that all of your customers have today. So moving on to the business side, vRealize Business allows you to put a price tag on essentially every aspect of a project that your IT organization is working on. And by doing this, it's enabling your IT team to now become a strategic partner to the business rather than just an organization to keep the lights on. So now, instead of having to just work around a budget that the business finds feasible for you, you can create a strategic plan, give it to the business, and request the exact amount of resources that you need. So now that we've gone through some of the capabilities of vRealize, let's go over some of the business outcomes addressed during this presentation. So you were concerned about scaling for this acquisition, and I discussed by automating your service delivery, you can now scale with automation. Additionally, you were looking to cut costs, and by the customer benchmarking study showing that on average 34% of resources are reclaimed, that will absolutely help you cut costs. Additionally, with DevOps and CodeStream, you're able to continue innovating for your customers, really making that epic application live up to its name. And then finally, with vRealize Business, you're now able to allow IT to be a strategic unit of the business rather than just a means to keep the lights on. Thank you all so much again for taking the time to meet with me today. I will have my vRealize specialist sit down with you to discuss exactly how this can seamlessly fit into your environment.